I stood at the window of Delacroix Boutique for the 347th time. Yes, I'd been counting. Every evening at exactly 5:47, after my shift ended at the Morning Brew Cafe, I found myself here on Maple Street, staring at the same ivory silk dress with pearl buttons running down the back like tiny moons. The fabric caught the light differently each day, sometimes glowing warm like candlelight, other times shimmering cool like fresh cream. My name is Emma Williams, and I'm 28 years old. I clean tables, mop floors, and wipe down counters for minimum wage. My hands smell like disinfectant and coffee grounds, and my back aches by the end of every shift. But those few minutes standing here, pressing my fingertips against the cold glass, imagining the silk against my skin, that's when I remember I'm still capable of wanting something beautiful. The price tag mocked me from its discreet position near the hem. $3,000. I made that in 2 months, before rent, before food, before everything else that kept me alive but not really living. Still, I came every day. Marcus, my coworker, called it my daily dose of hope. I called it foolish. But I couldn't stop. What I didn't know was that someone had been watching me. James Reed stood across the street in the rain, his $800 shoes soaking through, his tailored coat darkening with water, and he couldn't move. He'd left his architecture firm late that Tuesday evening, exhausted from another meeting about another luxury development that would price out another neighborhood. He'd been reaching for his car keys when he saw her. A woman standing in the pouring rain, no umbrella, completely still in front of Delacroix Boutique. But it wasn't the rain that stopped him. It was her smile. She was smiling at a dress in a window while rain streamed down her face, and her hand was pressed against the glass like she was trying to touch something sacred. James felt something crack open inside his chest, something that had been sealed shut for 23 years. He was 12 years old again, standing outside a boutique in Boston with his mother. She'd been a seamstress, magic with needle and thread, creating beautiful clothes for other people while wearing the same 3 dresses in rotation. He remembered her stopping in front of a window display, her eyes going soft with longing. "Mama, why don't you buy it?" he'd asked. She'd smiled and ruffled his hair. "The looking is enough, sweetheart. Someday when you're all grown up and successful, maybe you'll think of your old mama and buy something beautiful for someone who needs it. I'll buy it for you, Mama. I promise." But she died when he was 19, and all his promises died with her. James crossed the street before he could talk himself out of it. The bell above Delacroix's door chimed as he entered, and Sophia Delacroix looked up from her ledger. She was in her 60s, elegant in the way only French women seem to manage, with silver hair swept into a perfect chignon. "We're closing in 5 minutes," she said. But her tone was curious, not dismissive. "The woman who looks at the dress in your window every evening," James said, water dripping onto her pristine floors. "Do you know her?" Sophia's expression shifted, something knowing in her eyes. "Emma. She's been coming for 6 months. Never comes inside, just looks." "Why do you ask?" "I want to buy the dress. For her." "Ah." Sophia set down her pen. "And you are someone who understands what it means to look at something beautiful and believe you don't deserve it." Sophia studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "The dress is $3,000. I don't care about the price." "Clearly. But she will. Emma has pride, Monsieur Reed. Yes, I know who you are. Your building is across the street. I've seen you two working late, alone in that corner office." She paused. "If you do this, it must be done carefully. She must not feel like charity, like pity, like she's some project for a wealthy man's guilt." James flinched. "That's not what this is. Isn't it?" Sophia's gaze was sharp. "Tell me why you're really doing this." So he told her about his mother, about the promise he never kept, about how success had brought him everything except the ability to remember why he'd wanted it in the first place, about how seeing Emma smile at that dress in the rain reminded him that beauty still existed, that hope still existed, even when you had no logical reason to hope. Sophia listened, then said, "I'll help you, but we do this my way." The next morning, I found a cream-colored envelope under my apartment door. The paper was thick, expensive, with embossed edges that caught the light. My hands shook as I opened it. Dear Emma, I read aloud to my empty studio apartment, my voice barely a whisper. You are cordially invited to Delacroix Boutique this Saturday at 2 p.m. Something awaits you there. No obligation, no strings. Just a gift from someone who believes in holding onto dreams. I read it 7 times. Then I called Marcus. It's a prank, I said, pacing my tiny kitchen. Or a scam. Or worse. Or, Marcus said in that calm, fatherly way of his, it's real. What if someone actually saw you, Emma? What if someone thinks you deserve something beautiful? People like me don't get fairy tales, Marcus. People like you? You mean good people? Kind people? People who show up every day and do honest work and still find reasons to smile. His voice softened. Baby girl, if anyone deserves a fairy tale, it's you. But I was terrified. Terrified it was real. Terrified it wasn't. Terrified of what it might mean either way. Friday night, I stood at the boutique window one last time, my reflection ghostly in the glass. The dress seemed to glow in the dim interior lighting. Okay, I whispered to no one. Okay, I'll go. Saturday afternoon, I wore my best dress, which wasn't saying much. A simple navy blue cotton thing I'd bought at a thrift store 3 years ago. I'd washed my hair twice, styled my curls carefully, put on the only lipstick I owned. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. The bell chimed as I pushed open the door to Delacroix. Sophia appeared immediately, her smile warm and genuine. Emma, she said like we were old friends. I'm so glad you came. I don't understand what's happening. Come, she said simply, leading me to a private room in the back. The dress was there, displayed on a mannequin, spotlit like a museum piece. Next to it lay a small cream card. I picked it up with trembling fingers and read, For the woman who taught me that hope is something worth witnessing. A friend. I don't know anyone who could afford this, I said, tears already blurring my vision. Perhaps you do now, Sophia said gently. Try it on. Please. I don't remember undressing or stepping into the silk. I remember the fabric sliding over my skin like water, cool and perfect. I remember looking in the mirror and not recognizing myself. Not because I looked different, but because for the first time in years, I looked like someone who deserved to take up space in the world. The gentleman who purchased this would like to meet you, Sophia said quietly. Only if you're willing. You owe him nothing, Emma. The dress is yours regardless. My heart hammered. Why would someone do this? Why don't you ask him yourself? James Reed entered the room, and I immediately wanted to run. He was handsome in that way wealthy men often are, well-groomed and confident, wearing jeans and a simple sweater that probably cost more than my monthly rent. But his eyes were kind, and his hands were shaking too. Hi, he said, his voice uncertain. I'm James, and before you say anything, I need to explain. So he did. He told me about watching me in the rain, about his mother and her calloused seamstress hands, about the promise he never kept and the guilt that never faded, about how my simple act of hoping had reminded him what it felt like to be human. And I got angry. I'm not your mother, I said, my voice sharp. I'm not some vessel for your unresolved grief. You can't fix your past by throwing money at a stranger. He stepped back like I'd slapped him. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. This was selfish and presumptuous, and I had no right to involve you in my issues. The silence stretched between us, heavy and awkward. Then, against my better judgment, I asked, what was her name? Your mother. Catherine Reed. What was her favorite color? He blinked, surprised. Yellow. Bright, sunflower yellow. She said it was the color of hope. What did she like to make? And somehow we ended up sitting in Sophia's back parlor, drinking tea, talking for 2 hours. He told me about Catherine's laugh, her terrible singing voice, the way she'd hum while she worked. I told him about my own mother, gone when I was 16, and how I still heard her voice sometimes, reminding me to stand up straight, to smile, to never make myself smaller for anyone. I miss having someone who sees me, I admitted. Not what I do or don't have, just me. I miss being someone worth seeing, James said quietly. A week later, I showed up at Reed and Associates with a tin of homemade almond cookies. His receptionist looked at me like I'd wandered in from another dimension, which I suppose I had. But when James came out and saw me, his whole face transformed. "You made these?" he asked, looking at the cookies like they were precious artifacts. "You said your mother used to make them. I found a recipe online. They're probably terrible compared to hers." His eyes got bright. "Thank you. Really. This means more than you know." He invited me to his office, and I saw the view he'd described. Portland spread out below us, the river winding through like a silver ribbon. But what caught my attention was the drafting table covered in sketches. "What is this?" I asked, moving closer. "A community center. Free services, affordable housing, job training, childcare." He rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. "I've been designing monuments to wealth for so long. Buildings that push people out instead of welcoming them in." After we talked, I couldn't stop thinking about what architecture should be. "James," I said softly, looking at his careful drawings, his notes about accessibility and community space. "This is beautiful. You designed the morning brew, didn't you?" Marcus told me. He looked surprised. "Yeah, 5 years ago. One of my first solo projects. It's the warmest space I've ever worked in. The light comes in at just the right angles. There are outlets everywhere so people can work. The ceiling height makes you feel free instead of cramped. You see people, James. You just forgot for a while." He sat down heavily in his chair, and I realized he was crying. "I'm so tired," he whispered. "I'm 42 years old. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes, and I'm so desperately tired and alone. I should have left. We barely knew each other. His problems weren't mine to fix. But instead, I pulled up a chair beside him and took his hand. "I'm $38 away from being unable to pay rent," I said. "I have a degree in literature I've never used. I'm invisible to most people. Sometimes I go whole days without anyone saying my name. And I'm exhausted too." He squeezed my hand. "How did we both end up so lost? Maybe we're not lost. Maybe we're just not where we thought we'd be. That was 8 weeks ago. Now we meet 3 times a week. Lunch on Wednesdays, coffee on Fridays, dinner on Sundays. We talk about everything and nothing. He makes me laugh. I make him think. Slowly, carefully, something deeper bloomed between us. Tonight, the cafe is closed for cleaning. I'm wiping down tables when I hear the bell above the door. James walks in carrying Thai takeout and that shy smile I've come to love. "I know you said you had work," he says, "but I thought you might be hungry." We eat sitting on the floor behind the counter, our backs against the cabinets, and it feels more intimate than any fancy restaurant. He's quiet tonight, nervous energy radiating off him. "Emma," he finally says, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." My heart starts racing. "Okay." He pulls a small box from his pocket, and I stop breathing. But when he opens it, it's not what I expect. It's a simple silver ring with a small blue stone, aquamarine, the color of shallow ocean water. "This was my mother's," he says. "She wore it on her right hand, her working hand. It's not an engagement ring. I don't understand where this is going. Emma, I'm not asking for forever. I don't even know if I believe in forever anymore. My parents promised forever and my father left. I've seen too many people promise everything and deliver nothing." He takes a shaky breath. "But I'm asking if you'd share today with me, and tomorrow, and the day after that. If you'd be willing to see where this goes, without promises we can't keep, without pretending we have it all figured out." Tears stream down my face. "That's the most honest thing anyone has ever said to me. Is that a yes?" "Yes, to today, to tomorrow, to the beautiful, terrifying unknown." He slides the ring onto my right hand, and it fits perfectly. Then he pulls me to my feet, takes out his phone, and finds a song. We dance in the empty cafe, 2 people who were invisible to the world learning to see each other. Through the window, people pass by on Maple Street. Some glance in, smiling at the couple dancing in the closed cafe. They don't know our story. They don't know about the dress or the rain or the promises kept and broken. They just see two people choosing each other, and maybe that's enough. Later, back in my studio apartment, I hang the ivory silk dress where I can see it from my bed. The window is open, curtains billowing in the October breeze. On my dresser, side by side, sit a brass thimble and an aquamarine ring. I think about hope, about how it's not passive waiting but active choosing. I chose to stand at that window for 6 months. James chose to cross a rainy street. We both chose to be vulnerable, to risk being seen. Sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can do is believe you deserve something beautiful. Sometimes a stranger sees you when you've forgotten how to see yourself. Sometimes hope is a dress in a window, and sometimes it's a hand reaching across the darkness saying, I see you, you matter, you're not alone. If the story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel. Share it with someone who needs to remember they deserve beautiful things. Leave a comment telling us about a moment when someone saw you, really saw you, and how it changed everything. And hit that like button if you believe in the power of hope, kindness, and being brave enough to let yourself be seen. Because we all deserve our moment at the window. We all deserve someone who crosses the street in the rain. We all deserve to dance in empty cafes and believe that today, right now, in this imperfect moment, we are enough. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep hoping, keep looking, keep believing you deserve the beautiful things.